With the announcement of Borderlands 4, I want to take a look back at the other games in the franchise and kind of go over endgame expectations as well as things that I would like to see for Borderlands 4. Now, as you guys know, Borderlands 4 is going to be a complete change of form factor for this series. Not only is the tone going to change overall, but they are really going to add so many different mechanics. If you haven't checked out my other videos on Borderlands 4, be sure to check them out. I go over different mechanics and different things that has been discussed in interviews with the development team. But as I said in this video, we're going to go over endgame content for Borderlands 4. So if we take a look back at Borderlands 3, since that's the most recent one in the franchise and really had one of the strongest endgames in my opinion in terms of diversity. So straight away at a base level, we had up to 11 Mayhem levels. Now it didn't always start at 11, but they slowly introduced more, and that really impacted the endgame greatly with the ability to not only refarm all your favorite pieces of gear to get them at a higher rarity, but also to up the ante and up the difficulty to just make anything that you're doing a lot more difficult. We also have a new game plus, as you guys know, true Vault Hunter mode. That can be considered an end game content. You know, anything that is beyond the base story to me is end game content. Furthermore, there was 4 added DLCs. Now, some of these DLCs are shorter than the others, but these really dove deeper into specific characters in the franchise and really told more of their story and expanded on the lore and stories for. And as you guys know, the lore and the story in Borderlands franchise overall is absolutely expansive. So that alone, having Psycho Craig, Bounty of Blood, Guns, Love, and Tentacles, as well as Moxie's Heist, that alone added so much content to the end game because there's different bosses, there's different farming routes, different weapons to farm, as well as the additional weapons that they added for each DLC. We also got the director's cut and the designer's cut. This expanded on Ava's story. Nobody asked for that, but we did get it. And I'll be honest with you, it was a little bit of a change of tone, and I did enjoy it when I played it the first time, especially when that guy jumped in front of that train. I did not expect that at all. I thought I was going to catch that guy. But with the designer's cut, we also got kind of like a battle royale extraction style. I do think this game mode is good, and a lot of people don't give it the credit it deserves. Is there a lot of broken things about it? Could the loot pools, could the drop system, could the timing, could the storm, everything about it be a little bit reworked to make it that much better? I do believe that is the case, but overall, that alone with all the DLCs, the designer's cut and the director's cut, is so many hours of content. Now, if we think of Borderlands 4, I really do think that they're going to be extremely expansive on the end game. I also think that since we're in a completely different location in the galaxy, as well as on a completely new planet we've never seen, they're going to be able to expand on the story of this new biome, of these new characters that are going to be introduced in a very expansive way. It's going to be super interesting to see what they do because, as you guys know, there's only so much that they could bleed out of the stories of the current characters and their lore from all the past 3 titles. So having a bunch of new characters, a new biome, new planet, and a new story overall is really going to up the ante on what the possibilities are going to be for Borderlands 4. Now, furthermore, they also introduced slaughter shafts as well as Maliwan takedowns and Guardian takedowns. We're going to talk about these in a little bit here, but I also want to talk about the little events that they had. As you guys know, we had one for Halloween. We had a cartel style event as well as a Valentine's Day event. The Valentine's Day event I don't really consider as a lot of endgame content, and it just gave you little check marks to do, you know, a laundry list of things to do. The Halloween event introduced a whole new location as well as basically a mini raid boss at the end with new weapons to farm. Same thing with the cartels event. This is basically a mini raid boss at the end. So this alone adds 2 more additions to the endgame content. Now, if we keep going further, we also have 6 different trials, 3 different circles of slaughter, the Maliwan takedowns, as well as the Guardian takedowns. Now, in my opinion, this adds even more of a plethora of content to do overall. And the reason why I want to make this video is not only talk about objectively what came to the game for Borderlands 3, but it really kind of gives us an idea and sets the pace of what Borderlands 4 can achieve. We also know that they have listened to the community through and through. They've added quality of life changes. As you guys know, Borderlands 3 still got an update in August of this year. I do believe this is going to be its last and final update, but we did get a couple quality of life changes with that. Now, in the end, the reason why I go over all this is, again, I do think Borderlands 4 is going to expand even further on all of this, but I also want to know from the community, what are the things that you did like and disliked about the endgame content? In my personal opinion, I loved the slaughter shafts, reason being I like the high intensity. I do not like the fact how there was a pause in between rounds and it was round, and then there's an end. I wanted it to basically almost be indefinite and just go on forever, increasing the difficulty in these tight locations with an insane amount of enemies on screen. It just made for some fun moments, and I loved it overall. The only thing I hate is when you go co-op online and you go into a public lobby and someone's hacking and they completely crash the game because they're using Zane and they're using the firework grenade, and there's just so many effects and elements on screen you can't see anything. That's it. That's the only downfall. But I love the slaughter shafts overall. I just like the way they were worked. I like being able to constantly go and just seeing the amount of loot on the ground, guys. Absolutely insane. But then we also have the proving grounds and the takedowns, and I do think these are fantastic end games. Now, I would like to see a little bit of a rework with them. If you guys have checked out my other videos, I kind of went over this. Now, bear with me when I say this. I would kind of like to see somewhat of a live action style for Borderlands 4. Now, I'm not talking loot boxes and microtransaction and all of that. All I'm talking about is kind of like Destiny, where they had a weekly rotation of different challenges, dungeons, and raids that you can take on, whether solo or with a team. And each week it gave you debuffs and buffs that you had to make a specific build to accompany that week's takedown or raid, whatever it may be. And that really switched up the pace. That really is what made me stay with Destiny. I know I didn't play constantly, but every time there was a new weekly update, I wanted to go in and fight these raid bosses. The mechanics were different, the enemies were different, the different kind of ads, the bosses, the debuffs and buffs that it gave to me and my team, whether playing with some friends or playing solo or queuing up. And also, I do think if they go this route, obviously I do want it to be worked a specific way. I don't want us to have completely live action. I do like the fact that Borderlands can be strictly played solo and offline, and I know that's a big thing for a lot of players, being able to switch offline, and I do agree with that because I play 100% of the time now completely offline, and as you guys know, it's way better for the loot drops. But I do think having the live service is not only going to up the ante for the end game content and the ability to expand on the end game content, but I also do think it's going to strengthen the community because people are going to want to be coming back for more. And I do think they're going to be working on Borderlands 4 for a very long time, coming out with plenty of DLC, plenty of end game content, plenty of updates. As you guys know, Borderlands 3 had a huge lifespan. They did work on Tiny Tina's, but we do know that Tiny Tina's did not get the best reception from the community. And by the way, guys, if you hear anything about Tiny Tina's 2 getting canceled or anything like that, take it with a grain of salt. It is not true. We don't know if it's confirmed or not. I don't think it's true, but I do think their main focus is going to be on Borderlands 4 because that is the main bulk of the franchise, and they really want to focus on that as a whole. Let me know what you guys think. What would you guys like added to the end game? What did you not like that was added to Borderlands 3's end game that you would maybe want it completely eliminated as a whole or reworked a little bit? I'd love to know your guys' ideas. This video is just kind of to show there's a lot of optimism and a good viewpoint that we can have coming into Borderlands 4, knowing that the end game content I think is going to be the most expansive and the most change of form factor we've ever seen for the franchise. And guys, they listen to the community, and I think this time around they're listening even more. I appreciate you guys for checking out this video. If you're into all things Borderlands, be sure to subscribe to the channel. There's 6,000 of you guys returning viewers who are not subscribed to the channel. I would appreciate it. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. You guys are absolutely killing it. Thank you so much. Drop a like on this video, and as always, stay happy, stay hyped, and have a beautiful day.